This is Module 3, Lesson 4, adding fractions that are greater than 1. So when we have 4/5 plus 1/2, we do the same method that we did the day before. We rewrite vertically. We think of the multiples of 5 and the multiples of 2 to find the lowest common one between 5 and 2, and we know that that is 10. I know that because I skip count by each denominator for the multiples. And as I'm doing that, I see that 10 is the first number that shows up on both lists. Then I have to ask myself, what did I do to the 5 to get to 10? I multiplied by 2. So I must multiply the numerator by 2. And I get 8/10. What did I do to the 2 to get to 10 down here? I multiplied by 5, so I must multiply the numerator. And I get 8/5 plus, 8/10 plus 5/10, and I end up with 13/10. I cannot leave my answer as 13/10 because it's improper. Improper means that the numerator is greater than the denominator. So I say 13 divided by, that's what that line means, 10. 10 can go into 13 one time, and then there are 3 pieces left over out of 10. So my answer is 1 3/10. Next question, we have 2/3 and 3/5, so we set it up the same way. And when I look through these two and I find a common denominator, I see that I have 15 as my common denominator. So I go back to here and I see that I multiplied by 5. So I multiply by 5. And then down here I multiply by 3. So I multiply by 3. When I add them together, I get 19/15. I can't leave it as 19/15. So I have to take it and change it. I have 19 divided by 15. Goes in once. There's 4 left over out of 15. We have 3/8 and 2/3. We list our multiples. If we need them, if we can do them in our head, we do them in our head. And I find 24 is my common denominator. So I write that as my new denominator. I see I multiply by 3 here, so I must multiply by 3 here. And then I multiply by 8 here, so I must multiply by 8 here. And when I add them together, I get 25/24. I can't leave it as 25/24. So I say 25 divided by 24, and I get 1 1/24. There's a couple more examples where I won't list out the multiples. I have 2/3 and 1/2. And in this case, I know it's 6. And so I have to say 3 times 2 is 6. So 2 times 2 is 4. And 2 times 3 is 6. 1 times 3 is 3. When I add them together, I get 7/6, which is 1 1/6. Then over here, I have 3/4 and 2/3, and I know from looking at it a lot that the common denominator of 4 and 3 is 12. So I have to ask myself, 4 times 3 is 12, so I know 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12, so 2 times 4 is 8. And I end up with 17/12, which is the same thing as 1 5/12. And that's how I add fractions, and then I convert them from an improper fraction where the numerator is bigger than the denominator to a mixed number.